Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the FinTech Hunting podcast. We have an amazing guest for you today. He's an industry thought leader, a data and analytics expert, and a technology evangelist. Please help me welcome to the show Brennan O'Connell, Director of Data Solutions at Optimal Blue. Brennan, welcome to the show.
Michael, great to be here, and I appreciate all your Notre Dame Irish paraphernalia behind you there.
All right, well, go Irish. They had a big win last week. We'll see what happens this week, but it is great to have you on the show, Brennan, and very excited because data and analytics is such a critical component. Talk to me about where you see like the current state of data and analytics in the mortgage industry and in financial services.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing, which as a data provider, we're very happy to see a growth in the adoption of data-driven decision-making across the field. So, we've been putting data products into the mortgage market for 10 plus years. Actually, the longest-standing user of the Optimal Blue data is the Federal Reserve, and I would say in that decade plus now time putting data into the hands of lenders, we've seen a lot greater adoption around data and analytics tools, data-driven decision-making, to the point where today I would say it's pretty rare to have clients that aren't using data in some way to drive the decision-making, whether it's setting margin, making decisions on which parts of the market they should be targeting. Obviously, right now, it's been a tough couple of years from an origination perspective for lenders. Higher rates mean lower volumes. So there's a lot of opportunity for those folks who do use data to find the segments of the market that are still out there, the borrowers that are still looking for loans, and so I think it's been a really good trajectory that we've seen of adoption for data across the mortgage space.
Excellent, and as that data expert, for one, Optimal Blue has access to an extensive amount of data. Talk to me about how then lenders are leveraging that data and how you're making that data useful for them. And really, how do you qualify and validate that data?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's probably helpful to provide a little bit of context where we get the data. So Optimal Blue is principally a software company. We offer what's called a product and pricing engine. We also offer hedging analytics services. So these are two components for a mortgage lender in terms of their profitability engine. And we like to think of it that way, as a opportunity to provide profitability services for lenders from the time of lock through the time of selling that loan. But we operate this platform, and all of our data is a byproduct of the use of it. So we've got roughly 850 lenders who use Optimal Blue to lock rates on a daily basis. And for our listeners, the rate lock, if you've purchased a home in the past, that's typically occurring around the time of application. It's when you sit down with your loan officer or your broker and you agree on the rate that you'd like to get for that particular financing. So that rate lock event happens on our system for over a third of all new residential originations. So we're seeing all of this mortgage data really at the earliest point in the process. So if you think about it, a rate lock occurs, and then somewhere between 30 and 60 days later, a loan is going to close. And so the data is extraordinarily timely. The folks that are able to take advantage of it then are looking at things like price benchmarking, more volume trends, product mix. Do I offer the right mix of products? And so we're able to take all of this data, which is a byproduct of those 850 lenders locking with Optimal Blue, and we're able to distribute it in a number of different ways to mortgage lenders and to clients outside of the mortgage space, so that they can really get the first look into origination activity in the United States.
Well, I understand one of the ways that you distribute it is through a market advantage data report. Tell me about that report. What is it, and why is it so useful to the lenders that we're discussing?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Michael. I should remember to plug that myself. We took care of it. the Market Advantage is a monthly report that Optimal Blue puts out based principally on this rate lock data that I described. So we're able to report on origination trends, rate trends, product trends, credit score trends, different volume, loan amount related characteristics across top 20 MSAs in the country. So it's this very good early look into what's going on from an origination perspective. We put that report out on a monthly basis. You can find it on the Optimal Blue website. It's free to the public to access. We're also going to be launching a complimentary podcast that will go along with that report. You probably have to pick your brain on some of the best practices for a podcast, but we're going to be launching a podcast that will come out the same day as we release that Market Advantage report. So that's going to start in October. So we'll have some additional data points in that podcast. It'll complement the press release and the report that we put out with the Market Advantage, and then we're going to be bringing in experts from the industry, mortgage lenders, real estate related industry folks that are going to add additional color to the report that we're putting out, and then just talk about what are the current events, what's the most important information to our mortgage origination clientele. So that's going to be launching in October, and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, it's very exciting, and I love as you guys bring great data to the market, you're looking at new and innovative ways to bring that data to life. And one such way to do that is a podcast instead of just somebody getting a static report, which has tons of value. But if now you can bring that report and you're bringing in other experts, it really leverages that data and takes that to a whole nother level. So congratulations on that. I know I'll be listening in October. I can't wait to see you guys launch that podcast and really bring that data to life. So as we're talking about data, and we're on the FinTech Hunting podcast, we love talking technology as well. What are some of the recent innovations that relate to data and data usage that you're seeing in the market?
Yeah. So I would say, in the same way I mentioned, there's been this trend that we've seen towards more data-driven decision making. There's also been a trend in the type of data that is being leveraged in the market. And I think this is true across industries, but you are getting more and more granular observations. And that's what, as folks get more well-versed in analyzing data and making decisions based on data, the natural question is, can I get more of it? And can I see at a more granular level what is going on? So for Optimal Blue, what that's meant is it's sort of been a continuum. If you go back 5 to 10 years, most of what we were putting out in terms of analytics around the market were at a summary level. What's the total volume of rate locks? What at a summary level does pull through look like? So pull through. I know this isn't only mortgage lending related, folks, so I don't want to use too much industry jargon. But pull through is from the time that a lender locks that loan until closing. There's going to be a portion of those locks that don't close. Somewhere usually in the 20 to 25% of those locks. Maybe the borrower goes to a different lender. Maybe they decide that they don't want to take out financing. Maybe they don't get through the underwriting process. So
fallout, right? Fallout from that pipeline.
Fallout from that pipeline, right? And so we have through our hedging systems where we're processing over 30% of all originations in the country, we're seeing a really large segment of pull-through data. So again, that was all summary level, and where I think Optimal Blue has been going is down to a more granular loan level look at data. So for the folks who want to take in more granular observations of data, and instead of looking at summary statistics, because as we know, there's a lot that the averages can hide when you're looking at summary statistics, right? So if I say the average rate today is 6 1/8 or 6 1/4, there's a bell curve out there of where rates are actually getting locked, and so you're seeing folks demand more granular looks at information. Optimal Blue sits in a really advantageous position in that we're seeing all of that locking activity, all of that loan level detail is going through our system. So we're able to deliver that back to clients. And what that has manifested for us recently is a product we launched called Competitive Data License. It's exclusive to our members, our lenders who are within the Optimal Blue family, and they're able to take a look at data, and we've got what's called the price trace. So the ability to look at every piece of pricing infrastructure that went into a particular loan. So markups, loan level pricing adjustments, servicing values, all of this data, loan officer compensation, concessions, all of this detail, which really hasn't been available previously. We've heard from our clients that it was very important to get it to them, and so we've opened up the kimono in a sense and gotten all of that pricing detail to our clients. And we just got off a call before this where we were talking to a client who's taking that data and creating, I think, one of the best demand curve and price elasticity analysis we've seen from any of our clients. It's really exciting stuff, and so it's always great for us to see clients taking this granular data that we're working very hard to get out to them, and then turning it into really new and innovative analyses that I know are going to ultimately drive better profitability for that lender, but it's also going to end up ultimately driving down rates for borrowers, because you're going to have a more efficient market if there's transparency there, and if lenders are optimizing their margins. You're going to have a more efficient market. You're going to have a less expensive mortgage financing market for consumers.
I love it. You guys are doing some very innovative things, and I can see where that granular data is now going to be used, so like you said, can improve profitability and hopefully improve better rates for the borrower and everything. All right, so those are people that are diving in and leaning into all of the great data and everything. But let's now talk about, not all loan officers love data. They don't necessarily love spreadsheets. They didn't get in the business to be a data scientist or anything. Talk to me about some of the use cases of how loan officers are benefiting from Optimal Blue's data and data sets.
Yeah, it's a great question. Another, I would say, even more recent trend that we're seeing in the market is clients are, mortgage clients broadly, are recognizing that their loan officers are a key financial advisor in the home buying decision, in the home buying process for borrowers. And so there's this natural need to educate and equip your loan officers in the same way that, if you're going to your financial advisor, they need to be well educated on the markets overall. Same story with loan officers. And so, again, a lot of times innovations with data is a general purpose technology. It's a lot of times the innovation is how you're using it, right? Like the internet or
AI or any of the other tools.
It's a general purpose technology. It's not necessarily all the use cases haven't been fleshed out yet. And so what we've seen really innovative work with our data more recently is some of the more forward-thinking lenders are taking bits and pieces of the data, maybe not everything, right? To your point, Michael, they don't want to create a bunch of work for their loan officers. They're not forcing them to go in and dig through every loan, but they're taking pieces of our data, our benchmarking data, and they're saying, this is what Optimal Blue is seeing. We can count on Optimal Blue's data as a sort of a benchmark for the industry, or a representative share for the industry. And these loan officers then are able to see, hey, these are where rates are getting done. So when I'm talking to a borrower about what the available rates are in the market, I can come from a perspective of being very educated on exactly where rates are, what is the cost of loans, what does production look like for a similar borrower to the person I'm talking about or talking to sitting across the desk from me. So that use of data in the loan officer process to make them more of a financial advisor when they're interacting with borrowers, I think it's a great innovation. We're very supportive of getting data to loan officers to the extent that it can help them with their job. It can help them be financial advisors and have more productive conversations with their borrowers ultimately. So it's an exciting innovation. I would say it's new. Honestly, I don't think, even if you go back a few years ago, I don't think there was a ton of information going out to the loan officer community. And I think folks are
Right.
recognizing that the loan officers, they have the relationships with the borrowers. They are the folks that they've got the boots on the ground in the markets they're serving. They're really a key piece to this mortgage origination process, and we're really happy to support them.
Well, they own that LO owns that relationship. And if you can give them actionable data and insights that they can use so that now they're much more of a trusted advisor versus somebody just trying to hawk a mortgage, they're going to be more successful and it's going to give them a competitive advantage. I love all the stuff that you're sharing of how you guys are bringing this data to life, putting it in the hands of the lenders, putting it in the hands of the loan officers so that they can make better, faster, and more informed decisions. Brennan, you and I could continue to go on for a while. As we wind down, what are some of the things you see coming through the rest of this year and early 2025 as it relates to data and how it's going to impact the market?
I think, we'll sort of like knock on wood here. I think most folks expect some sort of rate cut in September. I think the markets are all pointing to that. That's near consensus at this point. The mortgage market is heavily dependent on rates. So as rates come down, volume is going to pick up. There's going to be a lot of competition to go out and get those loans. There's going to be a lot of borrowers, hopefully, who were on the sidelines before from affordability or inventory reasons, who are going to be able to come off the sidelines. And so I think it's going to be an exciting time for the mortgage origination business in general. And then the question just becomes, how do you navigate that as a lender, as a loan officer? How do you make sure that you're taking advantage of this, which should hopefully be a growing pie, so that you can get your sort of piece of the pie as a mortgage originator who's involved in the process? How do you ensure that you keep your margins at a certain level while still taking advantage of this increased volume, picking up your share, or gaining share in terms of volume? I know there's pretty strong correlation we see in terms of the folks who are leveraging data and their ability to pick up market share to improve margins. So I think in that new rate environment that we're expecting to see here, also looking at things like the refi incentive for folks. How do you know within your servicing portfolio who is going to be eligible or who's going to be in the money for a refinance? That kind of information. It's all data driven, and we're seeing folks kind of getting geared up for it now, which is exciting. People are saying, "Hey, I need to get the data in house now so that I'm ready for this sort of movement in rates," and we're looking forward to it. People withstood a tough couple of years, and I suppose that's the way this market works. But we'll be good, hopefully, to be in a different world here in the next couple of months, hopefully.
I love it. And as we see what happens with market conditions, understanding the data and having that data is usable is going to make a profound difference in their ability to gain a competitive advantage and close more loans. I love what you had shared. You've got the new podcast coming out. You said it's coming out in October. Where will it be available? How can people subscribe? We want to drive as many people to that as possible for you.
Yeah. It should all be out on our website. I don't know the URL to share, but for folks that are getting our market advantage today, I think that it'll be included with some of the communication that we put out with our existing monthly reports. Certainly will be available on the Optimal Blue website. I think it'll also be distributed through all of your normal podcasting channels. So I believe the Spotify's of the world should have us on there. We'll see. You get a nasally Midwestern guy like me on Spotify. Hopefully, it doesn't impact any of the other podcasts on there.
You will do great. You have a wealth of knowledge and expertise to share. I know everyone will be looking for that in October. Last question I have for you, Brennan. If people want to find out more about Optimal Blue and how they could leverage their data, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you and find out more information?
Yeah, again, I would say the website, optimalblue.com, is your best bet, certainly, to get more information. We also have a sales distribution channel. So if you just email sales@optimalblue.com, that's another really great way. You've got a very responsive group of folks who will get back to you and give you all the relevant information you need about this a growing breadth of products at Optimal Blue. So appreciate the time, Michael.
Oh, Brent, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast.
Thanks a lot, Michael.